Time for business now with Nona Peltier. Nona, world's largest commercial real estate firm, sees no end in the booming commercial property market. Now, why are they so positive?
Well, for one thing, interest rates are still quite low and likely to remain so. Other than the United States, no one's really talking about hiking rates. And so, well, maybe a few, but primarily the rates are definitely on hold. And when we're talking about raising rates, we're not talking about the very large rate rises. So interest rates remaining low is one of the big reasons, but also governments investing in stimulating the economy. We've seen that here in New Zealand too. And I guess the other big thing is that there's an expectation that those geopolitical tensions around trade will ease. Now, we've been talking about that every day for about a year, so we'll see what happens. But there are expectations, and for those reasons, property remains a very good investment for quite a lot of money still sloshing around the global financial markets. And one of the things that's interesting is that New Zealand is one of the hottest markets because our yield spread is better than we see in most other markets. In fact, we're like third to Perth and Tokyo. So Perth being number one, Tokyo, and then us. Yeah, so we do have a lot of buying interest in our properties, commercial properties. That's office buildings, retail space, logistics space, and of course industrial. Industrial being the hottest part of the market and the hardest part to get, because in Auckland, for example, there's a lot of industrial land that's being developed. A lot of our focus is on residential. So this is quite interesting.
Yeah. Hey, this is a story we've talked about before, and it is of great interest to me. New Zealand Post, because I always wonder who sends mail still and when, apart from bills, and you can get them on the internet anyway. So New Zealand Post is having to raise the cost of mailing a letter. This is because their profits were down one day.
Well, their profits are definitely falling. And we talked about this, I think, a week or so ago.
Yeah, so what's it going to cost me now to post a letter,
so it's going to cost an extra 10 cents for a standard letter. It's going to go up to $1.30.
$1.30 to send a letter.
And, last year it went up 20 cents. And don't worry, it's going to keep going up for you, just so you be happy we can talk about this every year.
And what was it? Yeah, who does send mail?
Okay, so I think they still are sending around 400 million mail items a year, so there's still a lot of mail going through. But it's declining at one of the most rapid rates in the world. New Zealanders are dropping the whole idea of posting a letter faster than any other place. And so that's why New Zealand Post has to keep raising the price, because the cost of the infrastructure is still there. So they can't
and also
do anything.
to capitalise on the likes of online shopping and people having parcel delivery.
And that's, of course, Courier Post is something slightly different.
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
The New Zealand Post is expecting this to continue to decline at a faster rate than we're seeing in other jurisdictions, which, of course, are also facing the same issues with the infrastructure costs are fairly fixed. So what can you do? I mean, it's going to cost more to send a letter. So keep on mailing those letters. Keep that up.
Before they totally disappear.
Don't forget, it's owned by the people of New Zealand, right?
Hey, what else happened on the markets today?
Okay, so that was kind of interesting. We had a bit of interest across the Tasman. The Australian GDP numbers came in lower than expected, and that caused the dollar to drop. And of course, the New Zealand dollar typically follows that. And we've seen our decline slightly to 67.6 US cents. So that's a little bit less than what we've seen more recently. But again, against the Australian dollar, we went up because the Aussie dollar is not doing as well. 96.1 Australian and 51.5 pence. Now, of course, the market is still waiting for an update on what's going on with the trade talks. So we ended up 15 points to 9,415. And Asia's, we're all just waiting around for the trade talks to come to some kind of conclusion.